Welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikulu here in Lagos, and Lunchtime Politics begins right this minute. Members-elect from the opposition parties back out on decision to contest for the position of Speaker and Deputy Speaker for the 10th Assembly. Well, is the coast now clear for the APC's anointed candidate? That's a big question. A senior advocate of Nigeria and former NBA President Olusegun Agbakoba says there is no constitutional provision in the way of Senator Bola Tinubu's inauguration on May the 29th. Plus, released local government chairman in Taraba State says his kidnap was politically motivated, as it details how his abductors threatened to kill him for not being in talking terms with some other politicians. Well, let's get right into it. It's day 2 of the induction ceremony for governors-elect and returning governors at the banquet hall of the presidential villa in the nation's capital, Abuja. And today, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, is delivering the keynote as he appeals to the governors to move away from empowerment programs that have no real value and invest in infrastructure, as well as create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. But this, he says, will provide employment for the teeming youthful population. And for the governor of Lagos State, who presented a lead paper on managing the process of governance, he and his colleagues must waste no time and get to work immediately they are sworn in on May the 29th.
We need to start preparing now for a time when our oil and gas may no longer serve us as the main sources of revenue. States with a heavy dependence on FAC allocations will be particularly hit. It is important that you, governors, start now to diversify your revenue sources. Honorable governors, let us be candid. Trust in Nigeria has always been fragile, but following the election, a lot of trust has been broken. Excellencies, you have a lot of healing to do.
Now, that is one of the messages that will linger on for the governors-elect and the returning governors. That statement by the World Trade Organization's DG, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, on the state of Nigeria's economy. But the governor-elect of one of the states, Diko Rada, has been speaking on some of his take-homes from the 5-day induction organized by the Nigerian Governors Forum for the governors-elect and re-elected governors. He was speaking on our political program, Politics Today, where he explained that apart from engaging experts in one's team, it is advisable to run an all-inclusive government aimed at touching the core need of the people. Take a listen to the governor-elect, Diko Rada.
Whatever strategic policy you have, you cannot be able to achieve it if you don't have a very good team of experts, despite the fact that you have some political consideration. But if you want to succeed as a governor or for any leadership, you must have people who have the expertise, who have the experience, who have the skills. And then you have to also consider diversity. And you have to consider other options: youth involvement, women involvement, politicians involvement, and what have you in the government. It will only consolidate the gains of the government, and it will make the smooth transition from one government to another. And I think the issue of transition was also discussed at the forum. And at the transition, it means you have to look at so many things. Party affiliation should not be a hindrance to the transition from one government to another. And governors-elect shouldn't waste time on investigating what the other government has done. I think it is better to kickstart the process, draw a line, move on, and provide the leadership that you are supposed to provide in your state.
Well, less than 2 weeks to the end of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Dr. Olusegun Agbakoba, says that there is no constitutional process to delaying the inauguration of President-elect Bola Tinubu as a president on May the 29th. Well, this statement is coming amidst the debate on whether a candidate needs to get 25% of votes in the FCT to be declared winner a requirement he had said that he believes the winner should fulfill. However, in this latest statement he released last night, the senior advocate of Nigeria said the inauguration of Senator Tinubu is bound to happen under constitutional process, despite the petitions against his victory, of which the 25% question is one of them. In his words, it is important to state that the inauguration of Mr. Bola Tinubu on the 29th of May 2023 is bound to happen under a constitutional process. While the election tribunal deals with the petitions, there is no constitutional process to delay the inauguration on 29 May. We need to obey the rule of constitutionalism, he says. And in a related development, an Abuja High Court presided over by Justice Sinyageko has fixed May the 18th to hear the suit filed by 5 residents of the FCT seeking to stop the inauguration of Senator Bola Tinubu as president. At the resumed hearing of the suit, Justice Eko adjourned the matter to enable the counsel to the 5 residents address the court on the issue of locus standi. The plaintiffs had approached the Federal High Court in Abuja on April the 28th, claiming that Senator Tinubu failed to secure at least 25% of votes cast in the FCT and cannot be sworn in on that account.
We brought an application to refer our matter directly to the Court of Appeal. So the learned judge said that we need to satisfy him on some issues before he would rule whether to make the reference or not. So he talked about issues of local standard jurisdiction and whether or not the matter is already before the presidential election tribunal, petition tribunal. So those are the 3 issues he said we should satisfy him on. We have addressed those issues in our originating summons, but then he explained that he was yet to look at the summons.
Well, there's more on this time from a security perspective. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kalibaba, is asking political actors and anyone plotting to disrupt the presidential inauguration to stop heating up the polity. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Kalibaba says some major political actors who are not happy with the outcome of the elections are issuing public threats that are directed at instigating actions to frustrate the inauguration ceremony.
The Nigeria police hereby sternly warn all political actors with subversive agenda and their collaborators, to particularly their foot soldiers, who they are exposing to political radicalization and extremism, to henceforth jettison their ongoing premeditated attempt to create tension within the national space with the intention to derailing the May 29, 2023 presidential inauguration ceremony. Secondly, such persons, regardless of their political affiliation, who continuously engages in acts that are inimical to our nation's democratic and security interests, should not be in doubt on the firm determination of the Nigeria police under my watch to closely collaborate with the law enforcement family and the intelligence community to defend our democracy, keep the internal security order stable, and optimally deploy our common unique assets towards guaranteeing the successful conduct of the presidential inauguration ceremony. Thirdly, we note that the inauguration ceremonies at all the national and state levels of government are a critical constitutional requirement for the sustenance of our political order as a nation, and the Nigeria police is duty and legally bound to defend our democratic heritage and closely police the constitutional processes. Consequently, I assure the citizens that our loyalty to our democratic and political order remains firm and unwavering. We will defend our democracy at all costs. The 29th May 2023 date for the swearing-in ceremony of the President-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and indeed other inauguration ceremonies at national and state level, is sacrosanct.
Well, another inauguration that is on the horizon is that of a 10th Assembly, and the leadership race is already heated. Well, the latest twist is coming from a former governor of Zamfara State and Senator-elect Abdulaziz Yari, who is insisting that he is in the race for the Senate presidency, and that's in spite of his party's choice of Senator Godswill Akpabio for that same position. Senator Yari says his decision to contest for the position is not an affront against his party, the ruling APC. We'll take a listen.
How can I kick against my party? But I know they're in the lectures.
No, we listen to you, sir.
What the lawyer says? The lawyer says no one has the constitutional power, or it's a kind of exclusive power to me and my colleagues to decide on our leaders. Are there any wrong when I said I want them to choose me? I don't see it wrong, because I'm doing the exercise, I'm exercising constitutional responsibility. So I'm not kicking anything against my party or against anyone. But I'm saying that I'm trying to get the indulgence of my colleagues to trust me and hire me. And at the same time, if I did do wrong somewhere, they fire me. So the hiring and firing is the exclusive responsibility of members of the National Assembly.
Well, there's so much to touch on the incoming 10th Assembly. There's been another twist, but we'll bring you that very interesting conversation in a moment. But let's talk about the tribunals for just a little more moments, this time at the state level in Ogun State, where the three-man panel of the state's governorship election petition tribunal has dismissed two petitions brought before the tribunal by the Ogun State chapters of the New Nigeria People's Parties, that's the NNPP, and the Action People's Party, the APP. And given his ruling on the application for the withdrawal, which is, by the way, brought by the parties themselves, the tribunal chairman, Justice Hamidou Kunaza, said that the petitions were dismissed for lacking in merit. The two parties, among others, had approached the tribunal challenging the victory of Governor Dapo Abiodun as winner of the March 18th governorship election. The PDP's petition, however, remains before the panel.
The petitioners, on their own volitions, have filed an application to withdraw their petitions, and the only prayers that we put in on behalf of the second and third respondent is that the record be put straight, that the first and second respondent has never colluded with the petitioners to withdraw their petitions. They came on their own volitions to withdraw. Parties haven't joined issues, that is, haven't filed all the necessary pleadings. They filed the petition, we have replied, and they have also filed their own response to their reply. So pleadings have been concluded. So the appropriate prayers that we put before the court is for the dismissal of the petition and not striking out, because there has to be an end to litigation. So today has marked the end of petition with respect to NNPP and APP.
It has been in the news that some of their executives at the national body came out to say that the NNPP is satisfied with the ballot paper, because our complaint is that the name of the party was excluded from the ballot paper. And these people at the national now said that the same ballot paper we are complaining was what Kwankwaso used to win election in Kano State and some other seats that the party won. So it was an in-house instruction to the chairman that since it will amount to them blowing hot and cold, you are challenging the ballot paper in Ogun State, and in another state where you people won with the same ballot paper, you kept quiet. So it was an instruction that the chairman should go and withdraw that. So it's in our affidavit. We can make it available. It's a public record. We can make it available to you people.
So we'll take a moment, and when we return, we'll bring you that big topic. It's another twist for the 10th Assembly. It's this leadership race getting heated up, and you don't want to miss this conversation. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Well, the political scene is always intriguing. Talk more in Nigeria's political scene. So let's get into the realm of the incoming 10th Assembly, shall we? Another twist came late last night from a group of members-elect from opposition parties in the House of Representatives, also known as the Greater Majority. I mean, you know, the peculiar case of the House of Reps, where the cumulative addition of the minority parties is actually more than the majority, which is the APC. By the way, that same group on May the 5th had issued a statement where they promised to field a candidate for the position of Speaker. However, the members-elect of the Minority Caucus yesterday rescinded that decision, it would seem, and this was made known by one of the spokesmen of the caucus, Mr. Afam Ogene, after a closed-door meeting in Abuja. Well, he joins us live from our Abuja studio to give us the backstory and perhaps their strategy moving forward. Honorable Afam Ogene is a member-elect representing Ogbara Federal Constituency of Anambra State, Secretary of the Minority Caucus of the members-elect, known as Greater Majority. He was also Deputy Chairman Media in the 7th Assembly. It's good to have you again on the program, Honorable Ogene.
Thanks, Kayode, and good afternoon, viewers.
Good afternoon. I know a lot of Nigerians will want to know what did it take, really, for the Greater Majority, as the group is now known, to make that U-turn, rescind that decision to field candidates?
Well, like you rightly pointed out, on May the 5th, 2023, we did indicate our interest, buoyed by our slight majority over the APC, to field candidates for speakership and deputy speakership positions. And further to that, a 13-man committee was set up, the secretary of which I am, and led by the Right Honorable Nicholas Mutu. That committee was charged with screening and identifying amongst our ranks those who would be interested in gunning for the presiding officer's position. But like you also rightly pointed out, there are some undercurrents that led to our decision yesterday not to go for those positions. So besides the fact that nobody stepped up, actually some people did indicate interest, but within the time frame of 1 week which we had, superior arguments came from some of our concerned members who felt that it would be better if we stick to our role as opposition parties in the House, that we will be more altruistic if we do that than gunning for the presiding officer's position.
Because a lot of people would wonder that, does that mean that there is enough amongst all of the over 180 members-elect across PDP, Labour Party, NNPP, and the rest? But speak to this point, because it looks like your choices are now limited. Are you going now for the anointed candidate of the APC or the other candidates that are within the APC? Who are you going for now?
Three of us. No, far from it. We have in our ranks several returning members, some into their 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd and 2nd tenures. And everybody is qualified among the returning members to be a speaker or deputy speaker. But like I did also say in my first reply, we thought about it and greater wisdom prevailed that it would be better if we stick to our constitutionally assigned role as opposition political parties so that we can also keep the ruling party on its toes. That's simply the overwhelming reason for deciding. I think those members who had earlier indicated interest to run for those offices, I think they also bowed to that suggestion.
So my question, Honorable, is that are you supporting Honorable Abbas now, or are you supporting Honorable Betara? Because those choices are now limited since you're not fielding anybody again.
No, when we get to that bridge, we shall cross it. As it were, we are not supporting any aspirant as it is. You know that you have a government or APC anointed speakership and deputy speakership aspirants, while on the other side you have a group of G6 made up of several leading aspirants too from the APC, from Deputy Speaker Idris Wase to Chairman Appropriation Betara to Jaji, Gandhi, a whole lot of them. And they have resolved to work amongst themselves and produce one candidate. But for us, as the greater majority, when all the candidates are out, we shall also meet and decide where to throw our hearts. But I can tell you for free that the greater minority would not be comfortable having a speaker and deputy speaker imposed on the House.
So clearly, you might not be going the way of the anointed candidate of the APC, as you said, as you talked about this imposition, which you will not allow. But speak to us about the qualities you're now looking out for, the factors that will come to play in this whole decision process. What are you looking out for?
We are looking for, first, the independence of the House of Representatives and, by extension, the National Assembly. Somebody who would be his own man, not one who already, if you are endorsed and microzone, they have the position microzone to you in the inner recesses of somebody's office or bedroom, then I doubt if you can guarantee the independence of the House which you seek to lead. We're also looking for somebody who would relate with colleagues almost on equal basis, having derived his or her powers from the same members, as against one whose allegiance would be outside of the floor. Thirdly, we are looking for a speaker or leader who would interface with the executive and get whatever is due for the legislature, namely respect for the institution, assurance of separation of powers, and effective running of the system. Those are some of the factors we are looking at in making our final decision on where to pitch our tent.
You know, you are in a very interesting position, Honorable, because you have to, of course, represent your constituents. And then there's a conversation around zoning. A lot of people say that the Southeast needs to get something, at least from the presiding officers of the National Assembly. The APC, from its choice, is given the Deputy Senate President, or the Deputy Speaker, rather, to someone from the Southeast, Honorable Ben Kalu. So if you're saying that you do not want imposition from any party, are you then standing against the nomination of Honorable Ben Kalu?
Well, nominations are not closed yet. Even the other aspirants, I don't think that they've named their deputy speakership candidate. I know that the Right Honorable Miriam Onoha is also in the race, and she is from the Southeast Imo State. On his own, Honorable Ben Kalu can get even nominated as Speaker, because I know he started out gunning for the office of Speaker. So it's not just about what the zone gets. The zone is still angling for something even higher. If you check the Senate, senators from the Southeast are not letting off on their agitation that at least the Deputy Senate President should come to the zone. So it's not a question of even shortchanging the zone. The zone is still very much in reckoning to get a position among the presiding officers in both houses.
So are you saying that if maybe the Senate President goes to the Southeast, then it's okay, the other positions can go to other zones? I wonder if you're factoring all of the agitations from the zones, the Northwest saying, well, we delivered a lot. By the way, from the APC, the Northwest is getting two positions, the Deputy Senate President and the Speaker. The other zone saying, well, we worked for this. You haven't quite talked about why you think that the Southeast deserves perhaps a Senate President or any role in the House of Representatives. What case are you making for the Southeast?
You know, the positions are zoned or given to individuals, and it remains with individuals. You can also bargain for critical infrastructure. And if you get critical infrastructure for your zone, I even think that is a lot better than, talking about the aspiration or ambition of one man. In the 7th Assembly, 2011, I know that the Southwest was initially tipped to produce Speaker. It didn't happen. They remained true to their status as opposition. And the person who was primed at the time to be Speaker, the Right Honorable Mulika Takonde, ended up as majority leader. So it didn't deprive the Southwest of critical infrastructure. I am sure that they even did that and they were happier for it. So it's not about individual aspiration, good as it may seem. I would rather go for a leader who would ensure that even development comes to my zone. But beyond that, this is not about me just coming from the Southeast. I speak for a group, a collective, made up of 7 different opposition political parties and spread across all 6 geopolitical zones of the country. So what is best when it gets down to the Southeast caucus, a decision can be taken regarding where to stand.
Well, Honorable, we have to...
the position of Deputy Speaker or getting infrastructure, which we so dearly need in the Southeast.
Very, very interesting point you make then. Let's wind up on this, less than 30 seconds. You are a journalist. I don't know if you've still practiced behind the scenes, so you'd understand that the Fourth Estate will put you to task a lot. We'll ask all of the hard questions from you. Are you planning any landmark bill for your return to the House of Reps? What is your vision?
Of course, I want to... First, my state has been recognized as the 10th oil-producing state, my state, Anambra. So one of the first things I will quickly do is ensure that Anambra State is listed among the oil-producing states and become recognized as a member of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Incidentally, the bulk of the oil is found in my local government of Obaru. So that is
Honorable, you know what?
I would like to do.
We'll keep our gunpowder dry. Clearly, the coming days, we'll be getting back to you, but we'd like to thank you so much, Honorable Alpha Mogene, for your time on the program this afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, before we go, let's tell you that the chairman of Takum local government area in Taraba State, Boyi Manja, has regained his freedom after spending days in his abductor's den. Narrating his ordeal to Channels Television, the council boss believes that his kidnap was politically motivated and is certain that he was kept within the local government despite being blindfolded for days. He also revealed that his abductors, who came in military camouflage on 4 motorbikes, shot his police orderly, whisked him away, and they asked him why he was not in talking terms with certain politicians in his domain. He was freed after his friends put together money for his freedom. Well, that's the program for this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Goodbye.